Wrestling.com proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Presented by KingofAmazon.com. When you think of Amazon, think KingofAmazon.com.
So why don't all of you try to tell me which of these names that we currently have, barring any surprises we have coming up in the 2020 Royal Rumble match, of which Brock Lesnar is already slated to be the first person out the gate, and he will take on the other 29 opponents in hope that he will actually win and not have to go ahead and probably defend his title, something like that. They haven't really explained what happened if he actually did win the match, but let's just assume somebody does win, which I'm guessing they're going to have somebody else win the match that night. Of the current names you have right now: Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Eric Rowan, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Elias, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Otis, Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Braun Strowman, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Kofi Kingston, Big E, and R-Truth. And I forget how many we have right there, but that only leaves a few spots left. 25 have been announced, and that's what we know right now. Of those names, right off the bat, you could say Roman Reigns. Well, the top four, I think, at the end of the night, the final four will be Lesnar, Reigns, Corbin, and I'm going to say McIntyre. That's who you got left. That's what I would hope it would be, but my guess, I don't know what else you put. They obviously, Lashley's not been put in a spot, even though he's been showcasing a major feud, a mostly television feud, but he's still been made strong. Other than that, Seth Rollins you could put there, but they gave him a belt, and at the moment they're not going to have him go up against Brock Lesnar again. There isn't anybody else. I think Roman Reigns will be the guy, but then you have to switch him over to another brand. I don't know. But if Roman Reigns is on SmackDown, then he's going to be vying for the Universal title against Bray Wyatt, whenever that's going to be. But of those names, people want this year's dark horse. They want it to be Drew McIntyre. But then you're going to ask yourself, what is it that Drew McIntyre's done so far that he deserves that? You got to ask yourself the question, who has he faced and who has he beaten? What major feuds has he overcome to earn the right? How do the fans think they can just go ahead and say it's Drew McIntyre? How can they just go on and just assume? It's because of the lowest common denominator of this fan base. Because of the fact that this company, WWE, does such a bad job in the off season of building up stars. And you can't use the excuse, oh, well, now we have Heyman in control here. He's trying to just get things started up. Well, he had a long time before. From October to now, he had enough time to build somebody up big enough to be that. But Drew McIntyre is now slowly turning face. And, he did have a match against Randy Orton. He has faced some other stars, but not any really big stars. I mean, he's just had some decent matches in the mid-card, and that's all he's done. Otherwise, there's been nothing else. That of a single star that stands out that would be right here. Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe are completely succumbed right now in with the feud with Seth Rollins and the AOP and the Disciples, whatever they're calling themselves, the Prophecy, something like that. So they have that to deal with. And, there is nobody else. And remember, those are also two opponents that Brock Lesnar took care of very easily overall. So with that said, it doesn't say much of a difference to me. It just says there's not much there. We're in a bad spot right now with what's available for people to go ahead and say they want to get behind what's going on here in the main title picture. But again, this is where I always think that a wrestling company is as strong as their main event, as the top draw of the card of any show. You got to ask yourself, who are the people that really, when you go to a Raw show, who are the people that are absolutely super draw main event stars? In the last 3 months or so, when you've had house shows, and if it's a Raw-based house show, you're doing what? Tag team matches with Seth Rollins and the AOP against what? Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and somebody else. But there's not one standout, bona fide babyface on the Raw roster to take on Brock Lesnar. They have failed to do that. And they don't worry about that because Brock Lesnar's not on TV to be faced against. Because it's as if, well, you can't really start a feud unless you have the other opponent there. There's always been the thought process that as long as their part-time stars are not there, they're not worried about having to go ahead and bring a star up and build them up into a feud so that they can be strong enough. And they start talking about, I'm going to get Brock Lesnar whenever he comes back, that part-timer. I'm going to come back and I'm going to beat him for the title. I'm going to be the new WWE champion. Nobody's doing that. But you could have been doing that for a lot of different stars and build them up. And, you have matches leading up to it. You could say, there's just so many things you could do with this. Look, this is maybe a weird thought, but, we've talked about contenderships. We saw last year how Ali might have been considered a championship contender at the Elimination Chamber, but then when Kofi Kingston came in, he took it and he became the contender to go up against the champion, right? And with that said, you could do the same thing with Elimination Chamber again. If they're going to bring that back and bring that match back in again, then just use it there. Find a match that takes the number one contenders. Maybe you have one that wins in the Royal Rumble, but then somebody puts that title shot on the line. Why can't we do that? But they don't want to do anything like that. Make it where you gotta have matches to make somebody overcome. There was something to be said when Daniel Bryan, who I think was really the last champion that got crowned and became top guy, he had to face two people in the same night. And he did, and he won. There are no baby faces that are overcoming outstanding odds, which is what they try to do. But then the baby faces rarely get the chance to get there. And if they do, it's so late in the game, it's not so enjoyable because WWE doesn't want to pull the trigger on the main event star that's going to beat the big star, the big champion, and become the next big star. They don't want to have one person to be on top. So everybody has to be stayed at mediocre level or near the main event. Drew McIntyre is near the main event. Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, I think, they're all right at that spot. Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, they're all within main event. They're semi-mains. Seth Rollins with AOP, they are semi-main event. And they're being made main eventers in the meantime while they are waiting for Brock Lesnar to be brought back for his contract to kick in and for him to start coming to the ring. And so it's a waste of time as well when you see Brock Lesnar every time come back and all they're doing is just nothing. He comes out, holds the belt, Paul Heyman talks, he just sits there and bounces around the ring. You had a little tete-a-tete with Ricochet for a quick minute. Other than that, there was nothing else. That was it. This is where this company's at. Again, WrestleMania season, you want to have something to be sitting behind. But there is nothing at all this year that stirs up the interest. When The Rock and John Cena faced each other 2 back-to-back years. Undertaker, every time he comes back for a match, you don't have that match anymore. You now have to throw in the Saudi Arabia show coming up in February. A little bit of time after Royal Rumble happens. That gets thrown into the mix. Nobody's asking for that and it just gets brought into the place. And what are you going to do? So all of that, there's just a cash grab right now. But the main roster, this is the most important time to build the main roster up and to get the Royal Rumble to be used as the vehicle to put a rocket pack and make a new star here zoom to the top of the main event. There is several stars established on the SmackDown side, and Bray Wyatt is vulnerable as Universal Champion. That side's fine. You got Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt that are all in that mix right there. No problem. But on the WWE Championship side, no. On the women's division's in a mess. We can all say that too. To see a flip of Asuka and Becky Lynch's roles from the Royal Rumble last year to now is not anything special. And Becky Lynch in 1 year has just turned into, a mess. The promo she cut last week, or just the other week, where she had the contract signing and got spit in the face and she made it look like it was battery acid. That wasn't good. And then her just coming up with some really contrived promo that people thought was any good because people are white knighting Becky Lynch left and right. That's what's going on. So that's where we're at. There's just nothing there. There are a lot of mid-card stars, and that is all. Why don't people understand what's going on here? Why are the fans so easily manipulated and persuaded to not even think about the main roster when WrestleMania season comes? Can we be honest with each other here? It is a WrestleMania weekend, so there's a lot of things going on. So there's a lot going on that weekend where wrestling fans come there. But how important is WrestleMania to them that weekend? Ask yourself the question. WrestleMania weekend is not about the show anymore. WrestleMania weekend is about other things besides. The Hall of Fame, where you got a lot of hardcore fans that have been around watching WWE for years, for decades. They want to go see the NWO being inducted. Okay, there's that part. You already know that there's going to be an NXT takeover that weekend as well. And that's going to be amazing. We already know they'll put a big, big show on that as well, putting it on the Thursday night before. Is that what they're going to do, right? And then you have the shows going on in the same weekend as WrestleMania weekend. Because after every other wrestling show is going on, then WrestleMania covers the whole weekend on Sunday. And then you have Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania, which everybody was going to hope there's going to be something big about it because there were a number of years they did something really huge. But, that's so far away from now. That doesn't really matter, does it? But people can talk about it and people can look and be all happy about it. But what kind of excitement do you have when we are 73 days away from WrestleMania 36 in Tampa Bay? And really, no matches really to be considered as of yet. We have to wait for the Rumble to really start seeing what things are happening. But we know a lot of things are being put together last minute. And we might get some storylines that will come together, but they will never be more than main event high. The fact that we were able to get a main event like they did last year because it was a one of a kind, seeing the women main event. But that division has gone so far apart from what they had last year. They sadly miss Ronda Rousey. And then Nia Jax hasn't come back. I think she comes back most likely. You know what? She can't come back for the Rumble. I don't think she's back for that. But I think Nia Jax comes back night after WrestleMania. That's where I think she comes back. I don't think she's around for any of this right now. But I think that's a big enough women's star that will come back, that will make a difference. Otherwise, the rest of the division on both sides doesn't mean much. And the split doesn't help at all. It hasn't. Now, we're getting better than average wrestling, yes. But WrestleMania quality, WrestleMania caliber, that's not happening now. I don't see any of that at all as we are looking at this moment. So you got to ask yourself this question. At what point do you say, I'm sick and tired of this? I can't watch this program and see it just become mediocre over and over and over again, because that's all we ever see. And it's important to go and just say to yourselves, it doesn't look good, and nobody's happy about what's going on here. It's disappointing altogether, but nothing's going to change about it. Vince McMahon has the XFL. He's worrying about that. And among other things that are going on, it doesn't matter at all. How many weeks do I need to come over here? And I'll tell you, I come over here and I'm like, I did some rearranging of the man cave. I went ahead and did some audio baffling, reassembled it so it sounds better in here. I had the air conditioning off tonight because it's cold as hell outside. I mean, it's what temperature is outside? I'm thinking it's like 45 degrees outside in South Florida at night, which is really tremendous. Well, actually 55. I'm sorry. It's going to be in the 40s tonight. But all that right there, I'm worrying about other things. And I come over here and I sit down and I say to myself, what am I going to do? I even redid my microphone here so it has a better look to it, and kind of just have it where it's just better for me to go ahead and get it over under this boom mic and get some other things connected over to it. And I'm looking at other YouTube channels, and I'm looking at what other people are doing to set up and upgrade their equipment. I'm just trying to do my own thing as well, because that's what podcasters do. We look, oh, that's nice equipment. I should do the same thing. I should step my stuff up, right? I even bought a new 1080p webcam. Things like that. I thought, oh, that's a good idea. That sounds like something fun to do. So I'll go ahead and do all that stuff. I'll put some stuff together and I'll see what I can do about, putting some things together to make it look good. Make it a nice little, looking setup for what I do on the radio here and all that good stuff. Well, it's what I do. Before I move along, I want to do a couple of things. I want to do a little housekeeping on the show because, I don't give any shout outs. I don't do enough out there to the fans to go ahead and appreciate that you listen to the show that you do every week. I want to go and give a shout out to some new people that are following me on Facebook. Precious Haynes, Michael Hahn, Jared Stetner, Nathan Gray, and Noel Perez. Thank you all for checking the show out like you do. And I really do appreciate you checking where you are. I also want to go and give a shout out to DJ All Style, who's following me on the YouTube channel and subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you haven't been there yet, I have several videos that go on a regular basis where I actually go on camera and I will do things there. And I've thought about doing some more video stuff because I have the cameras here if I want to do something like that. But I want to just keep in mind that what I'm going to be doing now is still doing all the videos that I do, and I'll continue to do post shows and I'll do all the content I do. I just want to go and give you the heads up that I always have the YouTube channel, and I want to recommend all of you make sure to also follow me there, because if you're looking for any of my content, all one-stop shop, youtube.com/JBRASCO951. Again, youtube.com/JBRASCO951. You can follow me there, and you can also find the link and everything that's going on with me, where to subscribe to the show, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. It's all there at kingofpodcasts.com. And that's where you go for all that. The other thing I also want to recommend to all of you as well to help out with the show is, by all means, please go ahead and do your shopping through Amazon, which I do all the time. I'm always buying new things on there. I always got, when I need to go and find chewing gum, when I need to go find shirts. Oh my God, the shirts that I buy there on a regular basis. That I, DXL, I'm a big guy, right? So DXL actually has a deal with Amazon to go and buy their clothes there. I also buy a few things when it comes to using Prime Pantry or getting the one-day delivery stuff, because I got a distribution center next to my house. Batteries are real cheap on there. I get AA's and AAA's there all the time, and so much more. I get my cologne off of Amazon. I get Usher cologne because that's what I like. Of course, my Amazon Echo that I have in the room, things like that. It's just so much I get from Amazon. And one of the best ways you can help out this show is you can go over to kingofamazon.com. I've created a special URL for all the listeners to the Wrestling is Real podcast, the Broadcasters podcast, and my umbrella show when I'm not podcasting. You can find kingofamazon.com. Go to the website. When you go right through there, do your shopping like you normally do for Amazon, because I will get a commission for every purchase that's made over there. So I want to really push that this year. Kingofamazon.com. I hope you will really consider doing that and doing all that. And also, if you do make a purchase, please let me know and I'll give you a shout out on the air. so that, I want to go ahead and, show respect and show a lot of love to the people out there that have been listening to this show for so long. Of course, Ice May 23 and Joe G. Cool and so many others that listen to the show on a regular, on this show for so long, that have been around since 2012, since I did the show, the first one of December 18th of that year. And still 510 odd, 512, I think that I haven't looked at the number yet. I'll look at it in a little bit. The fact that I get to do this show each and every week, it doesn't get old doing this show. Let me tell you, it doesn't get old. I never get tired of doing it. I'm so happy doing this show each and every week for all of you. It's fun. It really, I have to, 511, here we go. I have to be here. I got to do this show. There's so much to go on and talk about. And I don't take time to talk about it. For all of you, I think you know that I want to just get to the story, get to the news, get to what's going on, and just roll with it. Because as a podcaster, I know, man, you guys do not want me to go and just start lollygagging around. And that's such an old phrase. But the truth is, I don't want to waste your time. You come here, you listen to the show, we get right to the meat of the matter. So I want to take a few minutes here, tell you what's going on with that. And also, if you don't want to do the King of Amazon thing, by all means, don't buy it from Amazon. If you want to, it's just one of the easiest ways to do it. But if you want to just do a straight up donation to help out the show, and I'll, and really, if you want to do a donation to the show, feel free to go ahead and let me know what you want to do. I could do a thing where I'll do this, and this will be awesome. Courtesy of kingofamazon.com. Any donations, okay, that I get this month between now and WrestleMania, let's put it like that. One of you that donates to the show, you could do it through Cash App. You could do it through PayPal. Cash App link is King of All Podcasts. The PayPal is paypal.me/King of Podcasts. If you would like to do it that way, any donation, you could put down $1, you could put down whatever. If you do that, then I will take one winner and you will enter the win an Amazon gift card of $50. I have to have at least 5 people donate for me to do this contest. That's the whole point. But that's all you got to do. If you want to just donate $1, so it's like a raffle, okay? You are raffling to get a $50 Amazon gift card. If it sounds good to you, go ahead and join me on that. That's another way you can help out the show. That's where we are. Anyway, let's move along. Royal Rumble coming up this weekend. We only have 5 entrants so far for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Sarah Logan, and Natalya, and that's it. So the Women's Royal Rumble match, the fact they only had so many names mentioned so far leading up to this weekend, is pretty bad. Pretty bad. 3 stars on Raw. And by the way, of the stars that are announced for the Royal Rumble match, they only had 3 stars that announced on TV. Sarah Logan announced her entering into the Royal Rumble match on her Twitter, Natalya on her Instagram account. WWE is not worried about singling out top draws. They really believe that if they just do what they do, that the brand overall is the big star. And I honestly believe that Vince and Triple H and the team there and the corporation, the corporate masses right there, the suits at Titan Towers, they really believe that, you know what? The draw is WWE. They feel like they're a carnival. They're a circus act. There's not one act that people come here for because they don't want to be perceived as that anymore. And the fact of the matter is, that's what wrestling's supposed to be. You're supposed to have top stars. Though they have stars they can put on the bus. They can have stars they can put on, on the cars or on the graphics and all that. But really, how big of stars are they? Like really, when you look at what they did for this year's Royal Rumble, I mean, you look at what they have in terms of who they put on the posters. I know posters are really outdated and old, and it doesn't really matter. But the Royal Rumble for this year, of course, it's always, well, they got a couple of people there that are main on the picture. But otherwise, if you look at the multiple pictures they do every year, when you look at all they're doing, okay, they had an older Royal Rumble point that they had where had Brock Lesnar, Charlotte Flair, Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Bayley. That's it. Brock Lesnar is the top star. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns kind of fit in the spot. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch also in a similar spot. And Kofi Kingston for last year was at that spot, right? Now this weekend we also have Worlds Collide. So NXT versus NXT UK. And, you know, you got stars that are in that. NXT has their own set of stars that will never amount to being big enough stars to main event WrestleMania. I don't know if Adam Cole or Roderick Strong or anyone in the Undisputed Era could ever get there. I don't believe anybody from Imperium could ever get to that point. I just don't see it. You got to ask yourself the question. Do we really think anybody is going to make it to that point? That's what this company does not want to consider. Now, Royal Rumble, it's the match that sells itself, so they're not worried about that. But when you look at what matches might be for WrestleMania this year, they don't have an idea. Nothing's been considered yet. There is nothing there that says they have a good set idea as to what they're going to do. And basically, they're allowing themselves to do that. For some people, it might be nice to see that they're not going to have any matches set right away for who's going to be, you know, at the top of the card of WrestleMania. We don't know what the 4 main matches are going to be yet. We know there'll be title matches, but we really have no clue who the opponents will be for, say, if we're going into WrestleMania right now. You know that all the titles will have to be on the line. Brock Lesnar defending his WWE Championship will be important. Will have to be one of the top matches. Bray Wyatt defending the Universal title will have to be a top match. I mean, will Bayley still be SmackDown Women's Champion? Becky Lynch, will she be holding the Raw Women's title? You know, things like that you have to consider and think about. So just not sure what to think. But either which way, a couple other things I got to make mention of. Royal Rumble is an afterthought when you're thinking about Worlds Collide. And for some people that are not thinking about it, you also have NWA's Hard Times pay-per-view going on also this weekend. So there's 3 big pay-per-views, 24th, 25th, 26th. Now, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do with that. And I think I will probably go and try to do I'm going to see what I can do. I think I'm going to try to go and make it where I will cover Hard Times and Worlds Collide on a post show coming up this Saturday. And then Royal Rumble will be on Sunday doing a post show for that. Probably what I'll do for that. But again, Royal Rumble is not the main point. I have more excitement, and maybe this is just me being jaded because of how I look at things. Really, NWA Hard Times has a much more interesting card and much more interesting matches than I see of anything going on at Royal Rumble coming up this weekend. Is that bad? I hate to say it, but it's true. But that's where we really feel about things. But anyways, let's look at Royal Rumble and what we have really looking forward to us. Now, like I said, I have no idea what they're going to do with the main match. I think Drew McIntyre has a chance to win, and I'm going to probably put him down as the person that will be competing in that match. Okay. We're getting a stipulation match, a strap match with the Universal title on the line, and Bray Wyatt will defend against Daniel Bryan. Now, that match, besides the Royal Rumble match, I mean, the Royal Rumble match, I guess that will be the one that they will run last. But I could also see Universal title match being last as well. Because then I also think what they might do, and I don't know. I'd like to think Daniel Bryan will come away with the Universal title. But I think they want to hold it for Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. I don't know, but you know what? I'd rather just see Daniel Bryan have it and put him against somebody else. Like, I mean, it really doesn't matter. For me, it really does not matter. I have no invested interest in what's going on with WWE at all. And that's where I'm at. It doesn't matter at all right now. I'm so frustrated with this half-ass product we get every week. To the point when I go ahead and talk about this, I mean, it's enjoyable. I watch it for the most part. It's not that bad. Some things are really cringe. Like the day after weekend update, anything with Street Profits now is cringeworthy. It's gotten really bad. And I also feel like with every star they have, no matter how talented they are, to put them in mediocrity. And I'll tell you what, who said this word? This is the word that really fits what this company's going through right now. We've heard of mid-card purgatory. Well, that's what this is. WWE superstars are in purgatory. They're stuck with no place to go, and they get a nice big fat paycheck, and that's all they're getting. And they're in purgatory until they can actually really see the value where they could go and be truly valued somewhere else. I feel like the Revival are stuck in a purgatory right now, hoping to get away and escape and really not get tempted to take another contract by this, Lucifer himself, Vince McMahon, and say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and leave. We know it's so good here, but man, it doesn't matter about the money. When there's only a hunger for money and to find like a good woman, I guess, in WWE is what some guys are doing over there, and that's what they want to do. And the same thing for the women. If that's what's important to you, then, good on you. But again, it's like an Olympic Village and a circus. There's a lot of acts to watch, and they're all really good, but there's not one thing that draws everybody there. It's like an all-star cast of a movie. You have like the Avengers. The idea where you have all these different stars that are there, but there are still a couple of stars that are the headline, the marquee. You only have a couple of marquee names that are truly box office, and they don't have that at all. Even seeing Becky Lynch coming out as a guest on Backstage looks flat. There's not much personality here. There's not much personalization at all with what's going on with all these stars. They're just kind of there, and they're being told what to do, and they're really limited on what they're able to do. It's what it is. It sucks. But these are all the things they're concerned about right now. Not much else they can do or say. So when you look at the stars here, it's so damn flat. And how do the fans go along and just go along with this as if it's nothing? Have the fans just been so desensitized? Are they just so defeated? And they allowed themselves to just go ahead and watch this half-ass product every week. These wrestlers in purgatory, content of their corporate jobs, of their corporate into the independent contractor positions, because of the fact they get to be on a product that's going to be seen worldwide. So yeah, they get the exposure, but they won't get the right kind of exposure, the exposure to make them big stars. They get a little something, but then they get it taken away. It's never something where they're getting fed, top star, win, and get really big. That really doesn't happen. Because even Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles or others, and Randy Orton and Braun Strowman, they're all going to get knocked down a notch. Nobody gets to stay up there and have a winning streak and really be big. Roman Reigns might have that chance. Brock Lesnar is that person. Otherwise, there's nobody else. There is nobody else. There's nothing there at all. And there are no stars that I see on the way up that are going to be able to make that point. I mean, maybe because of the fact that Roman Reigns has continued to work with King Corbin or Baron Corbin, there's so much that says, like, don't get me wrong, there are certain stars that even I see coming up now on the Royal Rumble card, potential personified. And maybe they'll figure it out, but we know that there are certain things of a particular booking or storyline or gimmick that is holding these people back, and somehow certain people are able to overcome all the bullshit because the stardom that they have right there is something that you just cannot hold back. A couple of names come to mind. So I think Baron Corbin, that guy is capable of star power. I remember seeing a Twitter poll about, has he got go away heat or has he just got real heat? It's half and half. I don't think he's go away heat. I just don't like the way he's booked as a heel. He is a heel and he would work it better as a heel, but there's better things to do with him than what they're doing on them right now. I don't like the King gimmick. I think they need to do something else with him, but they're sticking with him because he did win King of the Ring. The guy won the Honor to Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He did beat Kurt Angle. They've given him a lot of big wins in his career. So they have a lot behind him. There's no doubt about that. But Baron Corbin, and the thing is, I look at what he does on Twitter and on other feeds where he does all the cooking stuff. The guy's got personality, and the guy's not afraid to start talking shit back at the fans. So I can't not like Baron Corbin. I do. That's one side. The other one is Lacey Evans. This girl is America's sweetheart. Sassy Southern Belle. They need to get rid of saying it. I don't think they really necessarily need to get rid of the look. I think she enjoys the look, and I think the look is her. It's fine. Maybe not so much the hat, but I mean, hey, it's fine. I just think that Lacey Evans, they put out the Marine stuff, how she is, her as a mom. Man, there is so much right now. There is something about her. And she is likable. As a babyface, she's a very likable babyface. She is a kick-ass. I'm going to tell you it like this, man. Lacey Evans, I think I care more about than Becky Lynch. And Lacey Evans, at the moment, I also care about more than Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is a broken record. For all that I love about the woman, because obviously the pedigree, her work in the ring herself, it's just, they haven't done anything with her at all. Charlotte Flair is kind of on an island without anybody to work with. And that's just too bad. They don't want to put her up against Bayley, and they have nothing else for her right now. At the moment, she's going to be in the Royal Rumble match, and that's about it. So she might win that for all we know. But I could see Lacey Evans beating Bayley and be SmackDown Women's Champion. She's also been most improved. She's gotten a lot better in the ring. Her promos are much better. I mean, she's a good talker anyway. She's up there. And I also kind of almost see why Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans worked together for a short time in storylines. But for me, Lacey Evans, there's an upside to her. She's got a star on her back, and she needs to be ridden up there and be made a main event star in the women's division. Because I think she, as an ambassador or as a role model, I mean, girls should be looking up to Lacey Evans. She's awesome. I think she's really a strong part. And there's nothing against Bayley. I actually do like her right there. And I think, leading Lacey Evans and Sasha Banks to an eventual match will be good to see eventually down the line. And I think Lacey Evans wins the women's championship this weekend. I think Asuka beats Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title, and Becky Lynch just goes and falls apart. Now, I'd like to see Becky Lynch, maybe just put Becky Lynch back in the Royal Rumble again, have her just repeat what she did last year. Loses to Asuka, can't win past her, and then Becky Lynch has to find something else, and the man character needs to go away. And she needs to just come back and restore herself into something else. And find herself again. Because I think that's the one thing they're talking about where the storyline's already been told. I mean, even with the shitty, contrived promo that they put Becky Lynch through 2 weeks ago, they basically did plant the seeds that if Becky Lynch were to lose, then you could see Asuka taking the belt back, and then Becky Lynch trying to have to go look for herself, discover herself again, find out all the stuff that made her the man, and then get herself back to where she needs to be. Only thing is, I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know where you're going to get there. Personally, I think Daniel Bryan beats The Fiend, and it doesn't matter if The Fiend is a champion or not. We don't need to see Bray Wyatt with a very long title run, I guess. Because I think what needs to happen is Bray Wyatt needs to move along to Roman Reigns. And that becomes your WrestleMania feud. So, but then again, I don't know who would take on Daniel Bryan for the Universal title. I don't know what you do with that. Because I don't see anybody on this side, unless you think Baron Corbin is the person in that spot. I'm not sure. There's really no cut and dry idea as to who would be there. But I like to see Daniel Bryan win it. And then just find something to do with Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan's the top draw. Let him be the top draw. Let him be the champion and go with it. And just go from there. With the way Roman Reigns is being booked, I think Roman Reigns has to go ahead and finish the feud off. Him and Baron Corbin, they need to finish this feud off now. The dog feud angle's done. It's over. Let's just leave it alone and let Roman Reigns win and finish and out the door. That might be a good day to have that. That might actually work out really well. U.S. title, Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo. Andrade will win that really quick. Shorty G and Sheamus, that probably will be a pre-show match for all we know. And the U.S. title match, I think there will also be a match on the pre-show. I think they're both going to get relegated into that. And that's about it. As for the Women's Royal Rumble, I mean, yeah, you could put Charlotte to win. There isn't anybody else I'd put there in that spot that will be worthy, I guess. When you look at it, we don't know who's going to be coming back either. Again, we're going to just see we'll never know who's going to be the Women's Royal Rumble match. They're just going to go with it. So it's not too bad. It's something there. I can live with that. Let's look at when worlds. I always want to say when worlds collide. That was the old Lucha Libre when worlds collide feud, or it was a pay-per-view for 1996. The one that did get drawn as a result that Eric Bischoff brought in here when he was running WCW back in the day. So you got an 8-man tag team match, Undisputed Era versus Imperium. I think Undisputed Era drop because there's no titles on the line. So Imperium will probably be Undisputed Era in that 8-man tag team match. Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley. People are looking, this is a big dream feud. They're very good. Don't get me wrong. I know Toni Storm and Io Shirai had a great match on NXT tonight. That's cool. I don't think Rhea Ripley's dropping the belt anytime soon, but I think those two are going to have a long match together. People really want to see a long match with those two, so they'll really push that out and make something big out of that. Finn Balor versus Ilja Dragunov. It doesn't make a difference one way or the other. I only know Finn Balor, so I'll expect he wins. Keeps him strong. NXT Cruiserweight title. Angel Garza defends against an NXT UK superstar. Two NXT UK superstars that are yet to be announced, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. And that's it right there. And I don't know if anybody in the NXT UK is going to be winning any belts at all in this pay-per-view, but I'm going to go with Swerve Scott to upset over Angel Garza that night. And then you have a very classic tag team match. The returning DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Wow, we're getting back to that again. And, hey, it's quite a story to go ahead and say in a couple of years from being together to getting split, ruthless feud, to patching things back up. Very interesting. But I'll tell you what, I'm starting to see where, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano being stuck to being together in the tag team ring, I guess that might work for them. But the truth is, if Tommaso Ciampa really did say what he said, that he does not want to move up to the main roster, and Johnny Gargano would probably not do well at all on the main roster at all, then these guys are going to be relegated to NXT. So, do they really want to stay here? That's what you ask yourselves. I mean, for me, there's a lot of people right now that if they're seeing their contracts coming up really soon, that's also, especially the NXT folks, there are some stars there in NXT that they know they got to be honest with themselves. They're not going to make it that high on the main roster. They might get the paychecks. They might get, possible chance to date somebody over there. Who knows? or marry somebody. But other than that, what are they really going to get? If they are hungry to be doing something with themselves in their career and make something of value of their career, other than just a payday and maybe a little nookie, then they need to go to another company. And I'm telling you, there are some people that need to be keeping an eye on Ring of Honor. If Marty Scurll's over there, and maybe there's some thoughts that Ring of Honor might bring in some stars that are coming in from the NXT group and bring them back over and let them come on in, you know, Ring of Honor could really use some stars that are from the NXT brand and let them be in a spot where they're great workers, and then maybe do something with them, because I think Ring of Honor could do best with some of these folks that are in NXT that, you know, when you keep seeing new people coming into the Performance Center, that means at some point they're going to have to unload some people that are going to be no longer in NXT because they're not going to make it over to the main roster. They will not be called up. I think there's going to be a handful that will get called up, but really, what else is going to be done? Kaylee Ray versus Mia Yim. I say Kaylee Ray wins that match. There's nothing really on the line for that. It's just what it is. But that'll be a good pay-per-view to watch that night. I'll go ahead and sit through that and watch it. But that'll be on Saturday, so I'll get to that pay-per-view, and then I will definitely focus on NWA's Hard Times, which I'm surprised they put it on a Friday, the Friday of Royal Rumble. That was really interesting. They decided to put that there, but a really great card they have set up. Let me tell you that. NWA versus ROH. Nick Aldis, the national treasure, the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, the holder of Sweet Charlotte, will take on Flip Gordon. That's actually going to be a really fun match right there. Good setup at Ring of Honor Center Stage to get that all set up. That was really cool to see. A very well booked Women's Championship match. Allison Kay defends against Thunder Rosa. You would want to be sure to say that Melina and Marty Bell are going to be not too far behind Thunder Rosa, and I think Thunder Rosa will become the new women's champion that night. I think Nick Aldis will beat Flip Gordon. Then you have the NWA World Tag Team Championships, the 9-time champions, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, against the Wild Cards versus Eli Drake and James Storm. And in this one, I think the Wild Cards will come back and get the title belts back here. That's where I think we're going to see things at right there. Moving along, a very interesting match. Aaron Stevens, and I haven't had a chance to watch NWA Power yet. I have to watch that after this show. Just had too many things going on to get the chance to watch it. Yes, NWA National Championship. Aaron Stevens defends his championship, the third degree NWA National Champion of Mongrovian Karate against Scott Steiner. That's going to be a fun match. And what a match they're going to book that and get that all started. That'll be really fun to see what they're going to do with that. NWA TV title tournament, very good stuff. You have 4 matches that are part of that. Tim Storm versus Ken Anderson, Ricky Starks versus Matt Cross, Mad Dog, I believe is his nickname. The Question Mark versus Trevor Murdoch, and Outlandish Ziggy Dice versus Dan Maff. Now, out of those matches, I think, let's see, Tim Storm, Ricky Starks. I'll say, oh man, let's say Question Mark and Ziggy Dice all win their TV title tournament matches. So if it's the case, you know, I'm not sure how the tournament goes on in the brackets. I haven't a chance to look at what the brackets are. I have to go and look at that real quick. So here we go. Of the blocks that they have for the current tournament, I'll say it's going to be, I think Ken Anderson will take on Ricky Starks. That'll be a semifinal round matchup. And I think Ziggy Dice will take on Trevor Murdoch in that match for the other side. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Question Mark and Ziggy Dice take on each other in the second block. So then I think it'll be Ricky Starks against Question Mark. And I think Ricky Starks wins the TV title. That's what I think is going to happen that night. Of what everything looks like, I think actually happens. So that looks really good. There's a lot good right there. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have put all together and where we get to with all that. That looks really, really great. Now, one other thing I want to make mention of, when I talk about certain NXT stars that are going to be making their way up to the main roster, there are a couple of people I think that are definitely being looked at as call-ups coming up WrestleMania going forward. Shayna Baszler, I think, absolutely makes her way up. Keith Lee just got crowned the new NXT North American champion. For that, I think we'll see Keith Lee get called up as well. But Keith Lee, the first thing we're going to think about when we see everything happen is, Keith Lee's going to have to lose weight. That's another thing I think they're going to definitely be. They're not going to look well if Keith Lee does not have a particular shape. I don't think they want to see him jiggling out there. And it's not that Keith Lee's not in good shape and he's not able to move around the ring. He's not very versatile and very agile, but he's going to have to tighten himself up. If he makes it, he gets the call up. And I think he's going to have to realize that happens there. So I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with that, but they're going to have to consider that altogether. There have been some reports on potential people that might make it to the Rumble that come back and might be on the Rumble match. So Naomi might be coming back after the Usos just came back. Booker T's trying to tease he might go and get to be on the match, things like that. You never know. It's interesting. Supercard of Honor 14 coming up Saturday, WrestleMania weekend in Lakeland, Florida, which is just about an hour, 45 minutes away from Tampa on Florida State Road 570. Actually, it's more like 30 minutes away east of Tampa. Rocky Romero will be added to the Supercard of Honor 14 card. So far, we know El Fantasmo, Jeff Cobb, Kenta, Jay White, Roosh, Jay Lethal, Will Ospreay, Dragon Lee, Slex, and Marty Scurll are all confirmed for the Ring of Honor show coming up in Lakeland. And that's a 7 o'clock start on Saturday, April the 4th. Coming here for that. We also know that Impact Wrestling will be doing a super event at WrestleCon where they'll be doing a TNA show to commemorate. That'll be coming up as well. Don't know exactly what the day and time of that will be, but that'll be another interesting card that they have coming up as well. Very interesting in all what they got coming up. Now, one thing I think a chance to talk about last week, I should go ahead and make mention of now is, yes, Rocky Johnson, who, again, tremendous wrestler. I didn't get a chance to watch him. I was too young to really get a chance to watch him during his career, but that was one thing that was going on, that the father of Dwayne The Rock Johnson passed away. There were some stories that were brought up about some bizarre behavior at the funeral of Rocky Johnson over the weekend. And it was said that superstar Billy Graham was at the funeral. He says he was told about what was happening from his mother-in-law, and he was there due to his friendship with Rocky's wife. Billy Graham claimed that there were two low points during the funeral. One was Vince McMahon got up at one point and said, Rocky did one good thing in his life. He married Ada, had some kids. Then Graham said that Vince did his working strut off the platform as he sat down. And then Pat Patterson said some nice things about Rocky from their time in San Francisco, but things took a turn for the worse when Pat Patterson said out of nowhere, he goes on this rant called Rocky Johnson, laying in the dead casket right below him, a motherfucker, and started a vulgar rant about how worthless Rocky was, and a bunch of guys had to drag Patterson off the church platform and sit him down. So Graham said that Patterson just turned 81 years old, must be losing his mind literally. Only in pro wrestling, folks. Very sad to hear about this, and I actually feel a bit ill over the bizarre behavior. But either which way, Rocky Johnson, at the age of 75, unfortunately passed away. No, The Rock obviously was very shooken up by what happened. And, I believe Rocky Johnson's already in the Hall of Fame. That's another thing. I haven't heard anybody else being entered in the Hall of Fame yet either. Haven't really talked about that, have they? So that's another thing that hasn't been considered much about. Oh, well. So we also know that from AEW Dynamite tonight, Jon Moxley will challenge Chris Jericho for the AEW World title at AEW's Revolution. Did I call it Rebellion? I might have. If I did, I'm going to call myself on it now. Interesting, the Britt Baker decided to call Tony Schiavone a shitty barista who used to work at Starbucks, which, by the way, I'm just getting myself into coffee. I'm trying to get to another stint to start losing more weight, and I actually dropped a few pounds as a result. And I'm using coffee as an appetite suppressant. And I'm like I said, I got as high as 416 pounds. As I checked the scale this week, I was at 334. So I gained some points. I got down to about 323. And then I gained about 10 pounds back after all was said and done over the holidays, because I just let myself kind of just relax. I had already been hardcore, dieting for over a year, and I just got tired. I was like, look, I just need to go and just be able to do what I want to do. And then I said, okay, let me get back on it. I needed something to help me kind of get my weight back in the order. And I'll tell you what, if everybody ever tells you about coffee doesn't. Morning coffee helps me so I don't have to go after a big meal at the start of the morning for at least a couple of weeks. Knock on wood, there we go. Knock on sheetrock. And that's actually helped out a lot, which is good. And then having it on the way home after work, and really just having a go between basically early lunch and a regular dinner, 2 meals a day with a go between, and coffee to hold me over until it's helped a lot. And I'm actually able to go and hold on okay and get, keep myself to a lower amount of calories so I can actually just manage with that, go along on my day and do it just like that, which is actually really nice. Also, Kenny Omega, Handmade Page, winning the AEW World Tag Team titles. Didn't make mention of Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy winning the Raw Tag Team titles. That was actually kind of interesting. But again, the Raw Tag Team titles haven't meant so much. So to see them win over the Viking Raiders, that was fine, whatever. Okay, put that in there. Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy will obviously have a thing. Maybe Buddy Murphy will get something of substance out of this feud. We'll see what happens here. The same thing will happen with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. So 2 tag teams that we might see what happens here, and if they're able to go and keep themselves together. But they'll be put together with these titles only to have them split apart. They'll probably obviously have different stories on how they send those out all together. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I feel so much better. Microphone's all set up nice. Studio feels good. I'm feeling better. And, we're off and running, folks. We're in the middle of Wrestlemania season. But again, when will WWE decide to light the fuse and get things really up and going when it comes to Wrestlemania season? Royal Rumble, this is the latest they can start. They need to start showing us what is coming up soon. And I'm hoping they get some things off the ground that will really get us stirred up and going and talking, because I really want to have some good stuff to talk about for WrestleMania season coming up, or else it's going to be a very boring, standoffish, sluggish WrestleMania season, which we cannot have. That's not good for them. Not to mention, whenever AEW gets their third hour, their second show coming up on the air, more momentum for them. The other major independents also getting momentum built for them. Keep an eye on that. These things have to be considered, especially with WrestleMania weekend. You got to ask yourself, who gets the real push out of it? Last year, it was the Ring of Honor G1 Supercard. They got a whole lot of push. Then NXT, I think, was right there with it, along with WrestleMania. But really, when you look at what the WrestleMania weekend comes up to and how things are getting built out, keep an eye on all those shows. Keep an eye on what WrestleMania weekend is supposed to be and how WrestleMania is being built so that it will be the standalone card of that weekend. The reason for the show being in Tampa Bay and being the biggest venue and the biggest event of all. What will be said about what comes up with the Saudi Arabia show and how it gets thrown into the mix? Instead of having the show after WrestleMania, now you have it before. So another big scale show along with WrestleMania again, and how they're going to stand out. It's all these things we have to consider. We'll leave it there. Thanks for listening in, finding the show. As always, come back this weekend. Hopefully going to be doing 2 post shows. One for NWA Hard Times coming up this weekend on Friday. NXT Worlds Collide on Saturday. And Royal Rumble for 2020. We'll see what all comes from that. It's all coming up here on the program. Stay tuned for that. Until this weekend, enjoy the shows. We'll be back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. Help support the King of Podcasts. Shop now at KingofAmazon.com.